Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ship Talk with Jen and Ross. I'm Jen, your cruise bestie. This over here is Ross, and
Ahoy, sailor!
and we are here to talk all things cruising, adults only, adult-friendly cruising, all the things for new and experienced cruisers. You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube if you're into vlogging and informational videos. We are on all the different social medias. But today we are getting into myths and facts about cruising. We've got a lot for you. So let's start with the first category, which is vibe and demographics.
Really like that one, Jen. I think it's a great way to start when we talk about vibe and demographics because um, when I'm thinking cruising, I'm thinking, well, is it for the newlyweds or those waiting for God's waiting room? And, or as you would say, the nearly dead. Um,
Yeah.
because people think that cruising is super formal or they think it's this, they think it's that. And what they don't know is they haven't done it or they've heard one person's version of their events. Because I can go on social media right now and show you 25 fights that happened on a cruise ship and tell you that I personally have never seen an altercation on a cruise ship.
I have
So,
seen one. I have seen
so
one. Guess where it was?
not on a red boat. Is that a
Not on a
fair way to
red
say?
boat. Not
No,
on a red boat.
a red boat.
And it
Could have
wasn't
a
like a
reddish smokestack with blue and white on
it
it.
did. It did. And it wasn't like a full-on fight, but it was someone had had a little bit to drink and probably shouldn't have. So, um, yeah, cruises. I get a lot of new cruisers that I work with, and I get a lot of couples. You get a lot of honeymoons, but I think it really depends on the cruise line you're sailing with too, because there definitely are those cruise lines that are for the nearly dead. I can think of a couple off the top of my head that I would not go on because that is the demographic.
Yeah.
But there's also some where the cruise line itself might not be for the nearly dead, but the itinerary might be, where you're going to see a lot of older people. I had that experience earlier this year doing Princess. I was on the Discovery Princess and went from Los Angeles up the California coast and back. And that was a lot of old people.
Was it
A
throwback
lot
to the
of old people.
70s and the Love Boat?
I have never seen so many walkers and wheelchairs in my life. Um, but there was also a bunch of younger people on there, and we had a blast. So it's really, you just kind of have to pay attention, and that's kind of where working with the travel agent comes in handy, is we can tell you, hey, this crowd's probably going to skew a little bit older and give you the recommendations based on what you think is a good time.
Yeah, I have a client who's traveling 2 weeks, 3 weeks. He's going to Australia. It's their summer and he wants to see the Great Barrier Reef. He's going on a princess cruise because he didn't want the party vibe. He wants that older crowd with discretionary spending that wants to have a once in a lifetime cruise. And I said, well, understand you're going to see three different groups. You're going to see North America, you're going to see Australia, and you're going to see people from Asia. It's going to be very interesting, and there's going to be some culture diversity there that you need to be ready for. Not that you have to be afraid of, but just be aware that it's going to happen.
And I think Princess in general, you get a lot of that because the one that I did, there was a lot of cultural diversity. I've never seen anything like that. It was really cool actually. So if that's something you're interested in, like let your travel agent know because we can tell you where to go. But even with Australia, I mean, those are generally longer itineraries or a more expensive flight if you're coming from the US. You're not going to see a lot of young people on those because young people generally can't afford to do things like that, or they don't have the PTO to go do things like that, unless they're really lucky. So there's all kinds of things to consider. Generalizing it as you're getting married or you're on your last leg and you're retired isn't really true.
So, and to that, on our favorite cruise line, which is obviously Virgin, because we're both wearing red, and I'm literally wearing a Virgin Voyages sweatshirt with one of my Virgin Voyages t-shirts, and you've got your merch on you. And I can tell you that the average audience that you're going to see on a Virgin Voyages is going to be a lot of 20, 30, and 40 and 50 somethings, and a lot of activity going on. A lot of people working the stairs, not waiting for the lift. Um, a lot of people looking for the perfect spot to soak up some sun that might not be near a pool. Um, that you're going to see people doing so many different activities that are definitely geared for a younger crowd and a naughty aware crowd, I would say, on Virgin
Yeah.
Voyages.
And you're not gonna, it's not like you're not gonna see anyone older. I've been on sailings where there was a lady that was 95 years old and she was having a blast. And I'm taking my mom and my aunt to Alaska with me next year on Virgin. My mom just turned 60. My aunt is in her 70s. Like, they're a little worried because they think it's for people my age, but every longer sailing I've been on has had people in pretty much every age bracket. So it's not something that you need to be worried about on most of the cruise lines that Ross and I work with.
There is a gentleman who was on, I want to say the Resilient Lady. It was either Resilient or Valiant, and he's called Virgin Voyages Hugh Hefner. If you've met him, you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Is he the
He's
guy in
a
the robe?
he is the guy who dresses like Hugh Hefner on Scarlet Knight, and he looks old enough to be Hugh Hefner. He's been on over 200 cruises, and he's a legend there. And
I have a video of him because he was dancing with my friends.
in the pool or not in the pool?
Pajama party.
Very nice. Very nice. There's a visual that goes along with the pajama party. Although in
Yep,
December, it is the ugly sweater party
it is.
for
It
holiday
is.
sailings.
So
Um,
going into our next one, cruising is formal and not stuffy. This is a good example. Virgin is not formal and is not stuffy. There are cruise lines like Cunard, Regent, Oceana. Those might be a little bit more formal and stuffy. Um, Princess can kind of have that vibe, depending on what ship you're on and the vibe of the people that are on the boat.
I think your group also affects that because I was on
Yes.
Royal last year for my buddy's 50th, and the expectation was that you were dressing for dinner. You weren't wearing a jacket and tie, but a lot of guys wore jackets. I always wore Everybody wore a collared shirt and pants to dinner every night, and we sat in the big dining room, and it was fine. It was a little over the top for me. Now, this was before I had not sailed on Virgin yet, so that was my first inkling of what a cruise ship should be since many, many years ago, where you didn't show up to dinner years ago without a jacket and tie. Otherwise, they asked you where your jacket and tie was. Cruising has changed because I'm going on NCL in 2 weeks. People are like, oh, if you want to wear a collared shirt, be nice. And Virgin, as you know, is please don't wear wet bathing suits in the restaurant. That's kind of their policy.
Yeah. And I remember my first cruise was when I was probably 14, 15 years old. And it was one of those on Carnival back in the day when they were like, yeah, you can't come in the main dining room unless you are dressed. Like you are wearing your formal attire. Women had to be in dresses or some kind of formal wear. Men had to have a suit jacket, or a dress shirt if they didn't want to wear a suit jacket. And last time I went on Carnival, all that was out the window. Same with Princess, actually. Last time when I was on Princess in March, they were very formal still. I don't think you would get turned down at the door to the uh, main dining room, but everyone pretty much followed the dress code on formal night.
So I know on the Australian trip he was told to bring a dinner jacket.
Wow.
So not that he would wear it, but all the groups are telling him bring a dinner jacket.
Yeah.
If you want to bring a tie, you can. You don't have to, but you are expected to be in a collar. The expectation is a collared shirt and a
Yeah.
dinner jacket for dinner at
And
Princess. So
slacks. Yep.
and yeah, khakis or slacks. Yeah.
Yep. Our next myth, cruises are too crowded and I'm going to be fighting for a deck chair. This could go either way.
Agreed.
depending on the ship. You know, Virgin's pool, if you're a pool person, is not the greatest. Um, it's very small and it's more of a lounge vibe. It is not something you're going to be swimming laps in because you don't have kids on board. You don't need all that space. So the pool can get crowded. The day beds get taken first thing in the morning. But they have done a lot better as they've been refurbishing the ships during dry dock and adding more seating. So I haven't had as much trouble finding seats on Virgin as I have on the other cruise lines, but it really depends on how full your ship is. Um, we're able to see that information when you're booking, so we can let you know how full of a sailing you're going to be on. Um, I would say if you're wanting to avoid this, don't go during school breaks. That's when you're going to get the biggest crowds, especially if you're going on a cruise line that allows kids. Good luck.
And just to play on that, Virgin has for everyone 4 hot tubs, the giant hot tub, which seats dozens of people, and then a chill pool. And within there, there's also multiple decks for sunning that don't have pools. Like I love going back to the athletic club. I think it's my favorite part of the ship. There are the two secret hot tubs that most people don't know about are back there. And it's just such a great chill spot to have a beverage, to hang out, and the dock as well, which is down on a lower deck. So you can fight for the chair, or you can do a little walk-in exploring and find a
Yeah.
great quiet spot, which
I
to me is much more
have,
valuable.
and I've talked about this before, how much I love the dock. We every day go there in the afternoon for a snack before we go get ready for dinner. That's just always been our thing. It's not easy to find a spot there when we go. But you'll kind of learn throughout your trip what times to go to get a day bed versus a chair. Um, if you get a day bed and you're able to snag it, don't move because they will go fast. But even Brilliant Lady, they have added so many more day beds to the athletic club on Brilliant Lady. It became my favorite part of the ship too on this last sailing because I'm just so excited to be in Alaska and sitting on those day beds and looking out at all the glaciers. Like I'm doing a solo sea view for Alaska, and everyone's like, you just need to do a balcony. You need to splurge and get a balcony. But I'm like, there's so many other places I can go and just hang out and have a perfect view of the glaciers. I don't need my own private balcony. So, lots of quiet places, like Ross said. You'll be able to find a spot no matter where you go on the ship.
And it'll be very interesting because I'm going on NCL on the getaway for a getaway in 2 weeks. And I'm very excited to see the difference because I want to go on a cruise line to tell my clients I've been on that cruise line. Here's what I loved. Here's what I didn't like. And I'm doing the adult version of it because there is an adult way to go on that cruise ship. And I am, someone who specializes in adult cruising like you, I want to see the
Yeah.
adult side. You are not going to see videos of me at the kiddie pool. It's just not going to happen. Sorry. That's what you're looking for.
See,
It's not going to happen.
see, I suffer for all of you, and I go deal with the kids. So I can tell you, hey, don't do this. It's good
Why?
content. Come on.
Okay, it's good content.
Uh, all right. So moving on to our second category is the experience. Are you going to be
Yeah,
bored? Are you going to be overwhelmed? So the first myth is I'm going to get bored and I will feel stuck on the ship.
I'm
Have you
gonna
ever felt
challenge
bored?
that right away. Not only have I not felt bored, I've done port days without leaving the ship. I've gone to
Absolutely.
Nassau and be like, I'm gonna stay on the ship today. This is great. And because half people get off the boat. So everything's open with a few exceptions because they do routinely close down certain areas while they're in port. But if you want to use the spa, the port's the day to go. If you want to just relax. Now there is a couple downsides of being in port. First of all, there's no breeze. There's not that 20 knot breeze, which some people really like when the boat's moving. So if it's warm, it's going to be a little warmer. But in terms of boredom, no way, because the crew whose job it is to make things happen on Virgin's called the Happenings Cast, they're there. Not all of them are there because they all get one port day off while they're in port per cruise. generally speaking, but there's still going to be activities. There's certain things are not going to be open. The casinos are not going to be open. The stores are not going to be open. Some of the bars may not be open, but there's so much to do when you're in port on the boat. What's your favorite thing to do when you're in in port on the boat?
I just park myself at the pool because there's no one there.
I love
I
it.
literally do not leave the pool. The only time I do that is if I haven't or if I've been to the port too many times. So one that I always do that in is Ensenada because I sail out of LA a lot. Ensenada is kind of the default. We have to make a stop in another country for legal purposes. There's nothing to do there. Although Carnival just announced that they're building a private beach club in Ensenada at the port. And that's such a great idea because it's such a bad port. Um, like I went on my March sailing on Princess, I went and did a tour of Ensenada so that anyone that wanted to could see what the port area was like. There's just nothing unless you really want some tacos from Mexico. And Ensenada does have great fish tacos, but I'm not a fish taco person, so it's just not my thing. Um, so Ensenada, I will stay on the ship. Really, any Mexican Riviera, I stay on the ship because I've done that itinerary so many times that I don't need to get off in Puerto Vallarta. I don't need to get off in Cabo. Um, Mexico has just gotten so greedy with touristy things. Um, and it's just not fun anymore. So there's a trip where I literally stayed on the boat the entire 7 days, and
But
it
if
was
you're
fantastic.
right, if you're and if you're going for the all-inclusive vibe with different scenery every day, that's what you got, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
And it gives me the option to be like, okay, maybe I do want to go if I get sick of being on the ship, I can be like, all right, I'm in Cabo. I'll go get a margarita at the Hard Rock or at Senor Frogs or whatever. Um, my husband is someone, every time we go, he refuses to get off at any port, whether he's been there or not. He just doesn't want to. He's like, I'm paying all this money to be on a boat. Why would I leave?
And
So,
and if you pull into a port and there are four ships in port and you're ship number five, let's say, that's even a sometimes a great
yes.
reason to stay on the boat, especially if it's a small port, because some of the ports just can't handle the 15 to 20,000 guests who are going to come in for 8 hours, um, regardless of the line. But when we pulled in, I forget where we were. We pulled in, and the Queen, the QE2, was next to us, and it was just us and them. I'm like, this is going to be an awesome day at port.
Yeah.
And because again, totally different crowd than Virgin. You could not get
Yeah.
more different, but
You know,
still be in the same class.
I have clients who they've done 2 cruises with Virgin now. This is the only cruise line they've sailed. They have never gotten off the ship. They just don't want to. They've traveled their whole lives and they're like, we've seen everything. We just want to relax. They're getting ready to do a back to back in February, January, February. They may get off in San Juan because they've been wanting to see San Juan. And that port is really convenient to Old Town. But other than that, they're going to be on the ship for 2 weeks.
I like San Juan as a port stop. I do not like San Juan as the final destination.
Yeah.
Meaning where you
Where you
embark and
get on and
disembark.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't like it. I love
I've
San
heard
Juan though.
some things about it.
Yeah, it's not up to the Miami Virgin Voyages Terminal 5 vibe.
Standards. Well, and honestly, New York isn't up to that standard. LA is not going to be up to that standard. I really hope that they're able to build something in New York and LA to meet that expectation because the Miami terminal is just such a fantastic experience, embarking and debarking. Um, I'm so used to LA that it's like I know what to do and it's not as bad, but I mean, it's nothing nice. At least on the other cruise lines.
Sure. Um, that takes us to the other idea about feeling stuck on a boat because you're not stuck. There's so much to do. one thing that I've done is I made a well, I do like a drink now and then, just one or two an hour, I mean a day, on a boat. And well, I like to say the drink package is not going to drink itself, and there is no drink package, but my bar tab will not drink itself.
Yes.
Where I will make my own bingo card with ChatGPT and play my own game of trying
Yeah.
every bar and making my own bar crawl because I can pay Virgin to a bar crawl, or I can just tell my friends, hey, we're meeting up at 8 o'clock at this bar. We get to order what we want, and we're going to stay there for 25 minutes, and then we're moving to the next bar, and we'll tell you where we're going next. And knowing where Virgin's going to be, and we're not going to those bars at that time.
Yeah. I think on the days that I have stayed on the ship, I don't think I've ever felt bored. Um, there's always something to do. They've got activities going on during the day for people that do stay on board. They'll probably start later in the day because most people will get off the ship and then come back on early. So they'll usually start a little bit after lunchtime. Um, but I think it's a great way to relax.
And don't forget to sleep in if you're going to stay on board. Sleep in, go to brunch.
Yep.
Right there is going to get you till noon, and you're going to be so chill at that point. You could go to the thermal spa. You could go for a spa treatment.
Yep.
Now it's 2:30, and you haven't been bored, and it's just been total relaxation
You'll also get cheaper spa days by doing it on
when
a
you're in
sea
port.
day or on a
Yes.
port day. So if you're not interested in getting off the ship, highly recommend either doing a thermal spa pass or a treatment because of the discounts you'll get.
Jen, I have a question for you. Now,
Yeah.
I know that the gratuities are all included on almost every cruise line at this point. What is your take on the spa, on treatments, and of that nature for tipping on top of?
Well, the spa employees are not employees of the cruise line.
Correct.
They're employees of One Spa World or something like that. So I tip them separately because they are providing a service. Before I did all of this, I went to beauty school, so I just have that in me that anytime you're getting a treatment or hair or anything done, you tip 20%. So that's what I've always done. Um,
Minimum.
minimum. Um, but I'm also someone that like you have to go into it knowing that they're going to try and sell you stuff. So you're paying inflated prices because you're on a cruise ship. They're also going to try and sell you products while you're on board. I make it very clear from the beginning, I'm not buying any products. And then I tip them, based on the service and leave it at that.
Do you take care of your favorite bartenders at the end of the trip, or do you just use the survey, or both?
On Virgin, I don't tip extra because they don't want you to tip extra. They want you to fill out the survey and mention their name because they get more that way than they do with tips. The other cruise lines, I tip extra to my favorite people.
When I've been a rock star, I always tip the bartenders at the rock star at Richard's Rooftop
Yeah,
because they are going above and beyond for the requests that they get because they have such
yeah,
limitations. And I'm a pina colada guy. Like, oh, it's not part of this thing. I'm like, I don't care. I want a pina colada. And they're like, okay, we'll get it, no problem. And I'm not doing it in a mean way, but that's my drink on a cruise. So I'll take care of those people who take care of me, and I will always put them in the survey as well.
yeah,
And if you don't give me good service, I'm not going to rat you out. I'm just not going to put you in my survey
yeah.
because
Um,
that's how they'll
with
learn.
with Virgin specifically, they get extra days off. They get bonuses. They get all kinds of things when they get mentioned in their surveys. So
I
it's really important to like take pictures of their name tags or write it down in a notepad. Like we write it down on our phones every time we have dinner somewhere so that we can make sure to mention people if we have a good experience.
think I'm going to take pictures with people starting my next cruise so I can do a blurb that this is Sammy. Let me tell you what I love about Sammy on this deck on this at this bar because
Yeah.
that's important too. And I will say this, I heard, and this could be a rumor or ship scuttlebutt, that Virgin also rewards them if the ship does not sell out, that they will let them use sea terrace cabins for a cruise as a bonus.
Oh, interesting.
I've heard that as a rumor. I cannot confirm it or deny it, but logic says that that's not entirely impossible to do for someone who's going above and beyond to give them
Yeah,
that for a trip.
yeah.
So, I think it's
Much
great that they
nicer
do
than
see the.
being in the bottom of the ship with no windows.
Well, they do some great things for their people. They give
Yeah.
every employee Wi-Fi. I think that's huge. I was shocked, just shocked that people on other cruise lines that are employees have to pay to use the
Have to
Wi-Fi.
pay. It's insane. And you know, a good if you want to see how Virgin treats their crew, there's a great documentary on Amazon Prime called The Cruise. I watch it every time I go on a Virgin cruise. It just makes me so happy. There's 2 seasons of it, and it's following Scarlet Lady and Valiant Lady on their first seasons after COVID. And so, like, right when things started. So things are a little different now, but season 2 really focuses on the crew, and you can see a little bit more about their employee appreciation and like all the different things they get, the things they do to like keep employees happy on board. And they're gone for 6+ months at a time, so it's important to make sure they're taking care of their crew.
Yeah, it is. You can see when you talk to people and ask them, and they love this. How long is your contract? How many contracts have you had? It makes them so
Ask them where
happy.
they're from too.
Yeah, where and they don't have on because some cruise lines on their name tag it'll say where they're from. Virgin doesn't do that. It's just their name, and it could also have their positions. Let's say, for example, they're the captain. Something like that.
Let's
Uh,
say they're the captain and Ross isn't paying attention.
it happened once, and I'll never live that down, but it's okay. So, um, sometimes on a ship, this is another thing that we got to talk about is that there might be an itinerary change, and people don't expect what's going to happen. So it hasn't happened to me yet. Has it happened to you yet, Jen? Whether you've been on board and they're like, "Oh, we're not going here. We're going here instead."
No,
So winter sailings are much more prevalent to this than summer sailings. Be aware, especially if it's a tender port. I mean, you're getting in a little boat to go to shore. If the waves are over 2.5 to 3 feet, you are not getting off the boat that day. When the storm blew through Jamaica, thank God the damage was as horrible as it was, and the loss of life was there, that it could have been so much worse. And I'm so happy that the people were okay because I have clients who had to move their entire family reunion back a year. And I said, listen, nobody got hurt. That's the important thing. But but Virgin, for example, shifted to Cozumel. And the people
that
were
was
at first
well,
were
that was supposed
upset,
to be
but
their
in
first
hindsight,
time
they had a
in
great time.
yeah, that was supposed to be their first
Yeah.
time in Ocho Rios, and they had to move it to Cozumel, and it still looked like they had a blast, but Virgin was nice enough to compensate them for that itinerary change.
They
And
comped them and they didn't, and you know what else they didn't do? They did not say, "Hey, different port, we have to charge you now each an extra $12 for port fees." Nope. Virgin ate it. They didn't even bring that up where other cruise lines, I'm told, have done it. But again, it's never happened to me yet. Just like you're going to get at a certain point, your airfare is going to go sideways. It's just going to happen. But if you don't get to your destination, the journey, as Jen will attest, because you go on some cruises and don't get off the whole time, is the journey, and that's the best part. And the stops are just the bonus.
this is a good segue into our next one, which is you don't see the destination, you just see the port area. If
Yeah,
you're not getting off the ship and finding a way to get into town, there's some ports that it is a little bit of a trek to get into the city, and see what there really is to see in that city. Um, but that's what your excursions are for. Book an excursion that's going to take you there. I just did a fantastic excursion in Tortola, and Tortola was the least exciting port on my itinerary. Like, I was way more excited for St. Martin than I was Tortola. Um, we thought we were going to walk off, look at the port area, and get back on. And we ended up booking an excursion. It was the most fun I have ever had. We had an excellent tour guide that drove us all around the island, told us all the history, made some jokes about Richard Branson's island that we could see in a distance. Um, so I highly recommend like finding either a local tour guide if you're up to the risk of doing that, or booking something through the cruise line to get to know the area a little bit more and experience that and not just walk around.
And I'm going to also piggyback on that by saying, please go do independent research on your um, excursions because the cruise line reviews are all going to be awesome. Go look through TripAdvisor, go look through Viator, go look and just do Google searches, go on Reddit because we got burned on a really bad excursion and we were told we were going to a plantation for rum tasting. Sounds great. After the hour ride to get there and an hour ride back of a 5 hour trip, so now we've only got 3 hours. It wound up being a rum tasting in the gift shop as we were buying rum, so it was really a letdown. And I would never do that excursion again. And the more you cruise, the more you're going to get comfortable by going third party. But your first couple cruises, I highly recommend you go through the excursions on board because they're going to guarantee that you make that boat.
Yep. I've actually had bad excursions too. And actually the reviews, they weren't bad, but they weren't great. But for the price, this was like when I first started cruising, I was like, We'll try it, whatever." And it was in Ensenada, and it took us to like the top 10 best places in Ensenada. And it was literally, we were crammed on a bus with no air conditioning in the hottest part of the year. And it smelled bad, and we had to pay to use the bathroom. You had to pay for toilet paper. Walking to La Bufadora was just a bunch of tents with people selling things and trying to pull you into their tents, and it was a nightmare. So definitely, like Ross said, do your research on the excursions. Virgin is great about taking feedback after your excursions. So if you have a bad experience, make sure you let them know because they use that with their Shore Things team to make sure that they're giving people the best experience they can with their excursions.
And this is one of those times where you can go to seller services. Please be polite. Please, I beg you, and tell them you had problems on the excursion because they will make it right there. They're not going to wait a month till you get off the boat. They made it right for us. By dinner that night, they had made it right. They're like, you're not paying for that excursion. They gave everybody on the excursion their money back because it was such a bad experience.
The other
And
thing that Virgin does is they actually let their crew members take the excursions. So they've got a program. I learned about this on that show I was watching, actually. They've got a program for their crew to be able to go try out excursions and give feedback on them. So they're constantly getting feedback on these things. Um, Now, having one bad experience may not get rid of the excursion altogether, but they take the consolidated feedback and use that as they're curating them for each port.
yeah, and there's so many different types of excursions. We could do multiple episodes per port on excursions, and we will. Don't you worry, we will.
Yeah. Yep. I'm someone that like when I first go to a port, I like exploring the port area and just walking around and seeing what there is, and then I'll come back and I'll do an excursion. Um, my favorite time I did that was Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic, because that port area has a free pool with a lazy river and swim up bar that you could just walk into as long as you're on a cruise. And we had the best time. It was like getting an extra day at Bimini, and it was fantastic.
We did the monkey experience in the port with the spider monkeys, and one of my
Yeah.
photos is one of them jumped on my head, and I have a selfie with the monkey on my head. And the comedian that night on the ship was not paying attention to the rules before you go into the pens, and he was defecated on. And later that night, he tried to heckle myself and our friends, and I turned like, wait a second. Weren't you the now this is Virgin, so you might drop some foul language. Bleepity bleep, who got shit on by the monkeys? And he's like, wrong people to go after in the audience. And that was really funny.
Oh my gosh.
It was
All right,
great.
so moving on to our next myth about experience on board. The
Yeah.
food is just quantity over quality.
And this is gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I mean, it
Depends on
is
the
a
cruise line.
24-hour buffet. It does. It does. Some cruise lines, they still have the midnight buffet. Some cruise lines are all three meals will be a buffet meal, unless you want to upgrade to pay for a different an a la carte or a cover charge based meal. Virgin has does not have cover charges. They have something called Treat Yourself, which is a meal within a meal. If you want to, you don't have to. Um, but there are no buffets on Virgin, and about 90% of the food is made to order. Not going to say everything's made to order because they're during lunch, for example, they're making hundreds of hamburgers because people love going to the
But it's
diner.
like the hamburger patty is going to be sitting there ready to go, and then they're
Right.
making the rest of it to order. It's
Correct.
things like that
Correct.
where it's easy and it's not compromising quality.
Right. And the bakery stuff is not made right in front of you. It comes up from the bakery kitchens, which are amazing. Um,
The desserts,
the
obviously, they're not making desserts right in front of you.
Well, unless you go downstairs for a milkshake.
Right.
The milkshakes are made right in front of
Or
you.
ice cream.
Oh, yep.
Ice cream is made daily on the ship.
And
So
I've
good.
watched them make the the ramen bowls. They make them right to order.
Yes.
I've watched them make the sushi constantly. Or I'll just sit there and watch them make sushi for an hour and have a blast watching them.
Yeah.
Um, and the tacos are made to order, and it there's pluses and minuses of made to order because buffets will get you in and out fast.
And
That's what
you know,
buffets will do.
there are some cruise line buffets that are not awful. There are some people that like buffets. I prefer to not eat at the buffet. So I tend to that's like mainly the reason that I like Virgin is I don't have to deal with that. For example, on Discovery Princess, I had really hit and miss experience at the buffet during lunchtime, and breakfast. And number one, it's crowded and you got to fight through people to get what you need. Their desserts were fantastic, but like I wanted to do a taco situation and the tortillas were crunchy, but they're supposed to be soft tortillas. But they'd been sitting under a heat lamp so long they became crunchy. Um, so it's very hit and miss depending on the cruise line. Carnival's buffet, I will call them out. Their buffet is awful. Their
And
buffet to
I
me
know
tastes
that.
like hospital food.
Ooh, don't tell Dr. Melissa that. She loves Carnival.
I
She's a
it,
friend of mine. I can say that.
it may
Um,
be an LA thing, but every time
could
I've
be.
sailed out of LA, I'm like, where is the seasoning?
Well, I've seen not arguments, but I've seen people getting a little fussy around the lobster station on the Windjammer on Royal buffet because people want their lobster. I'm not a
Yeah,
lobster guy. I don't eat a lot I eat very little shellfish, if any, for a variety of reasons. But you'd think they were just like made of gold and people had to consume them. It's like, okay.
yeah, yeah. So, like you said, it's very hit and miss. If you don't want a buffet, go on Virgin. Um, you can get around it. There's lots of other specialty restaurants that you can go to at lunchtime that are not going to be a buffet experience. They will cost you a little bit more, but to me, it's worth it. That's typically what I do if I go on a cruise line that is not made to order at every meal. Um, and if you're
And
going
if
to a
you're
specialty restaurant for lunch, it's cheaper.
and if you are going to a buffet and you don't want the buffet vibe, look for the carving station. Stay at the carving station. Your buffet
Yep.
ends because they're cutting it to what you want. It's made to order at that point for you.
Salad bar.
Yep,
Yep.
or as well.
All right.
Which is
Moving.
interesting because the buffet goes right into the next one, Jen.
It does.
It really
Health and
does.
logistics. So this one I'm kind of conflicted on.
Of
This
course you
first
are.
one. Cruises are
I mean,
floating petri dishes.
there is a lot of evidence to trust that, and not just the neurovirus. Look what happened with the COVID ships,
Did you just watch that documentary
the
about
Pope
the
cruise.
princess ships? No, the princess
No,
ships after COVID. It's on Peacock. I don't
I-
remember what
I'm
it's called, but
I'm
it's
writing this
about
all down.
it's we just like binge watched it the other day. It's about the three it's like two or three different princess ships that when COVID really started ramping up, they really mishandled the whole situation. Um but it's very good examples of when you don't have health and safety protocols in place. This is what can happen when you're all 3,000 people combined in one space. Um, so obviously, since COVID, things have changed and things are a lot better than they were pre-COVID for health and safety reasons. But for example, my May trip, and I can't blame this on the cruise because I was in an airplane, I was in an airport. It was like a 3-day bender, basically, because of how much we had going on for this travel agent sailing. Um, but and I had a stomach bug beforehand, came back, and then had the flu for 2 weeks. So don't know where I got the flu, but I was out for a good week after that cruise. Um, so yeah, there is a chance if you're not using hand sanitizer, you're not being really careful, you can get sick. Um,
Oh,
would I call it a petri dish? No.
I heard two things to bring with you. Obviously, bring your favorite hand sanitizer, keep it with
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
and bring disposable washcloths. Bring your own washcloths because you don't know where they've been. And think about your own person and how many people are on a cruise ship. So disposable washcloths are now in my must carry bag
We
with
also
with my own
bring
little pharmacy.
I also bring a pharmacy, but we also bring disposable Clorox wipes, like the little travel packs. We disinfect our entire cabin every time now because even though the crew is coming in and cleaning, they're cleaning really fast. They have like a minimum of 10 minutes per cabin to get these rooms cleaned. So, while they are cleaning, they're probably not really, really, really disinfecting everything. So it's just better wipe things down when you get there. And it's just one extra little step to keep your vacation a healthy one.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next myth of, well, I get sick on boats. I'm going to be seasick the whole time, so I can't do it. I challenge that notion for a variety of reasons. I mean, I grew up on a boat, so maybe I see it differently, but my wife carries the patch with her behind that goes behind her ear. She doesn't have issues, although she does get a little woozy and she feels like she's on the boat after she's on the boat when we get home. I love that
Yes.
feeling. And it's eating smart and it's not changing your behaviors around your sleep patterns. So if you don't eat before bed at home, don't eat before bed on the ship. Just don't. If you skip breakfast at home, why are you eating a big breakfast on the ship? Like these
Because
are
it's
real.
free, Ross.
Well, that's the problem, right? Well, it's also, there is a known sure way to get rid of a hangover. It's called the English or Irish breakfast. It is patented and it works. That being said, don't go gorging yourself. It's not worth it, especially if you think you're going to get seasick.
I'm going to trademark the French toast burger at Diner and Dash as hangover food because when you've had a Scarlet Night hangover, 10 out of 10. That is the
And
best way to come off a hangover.
steak and eggs at the wake. And I don't eat eggs, but I have the steak. The
Yeah.
steak and the
I
potatoes
get
are
steak and eggs every
delicious.
time I go there.
Yeah. Eh,
But getting seasick, I don't think there's only been one time that I've gotten seasick. I don't do patches or anything. I do bring Dramamine, the non-drowsy kind, in case I need something. The only time that I have gotten seasick was when we were sailing through a tropical storm going down to Mexico on the West Coast and then going up to San Francisco from LA in March. It was very, very rough waters. The West Coast in general is pretty rough. So definitely bring, if you're doing a West Coast cruise, definitely bring either patches or C bands or Dramamine. But honestly, if you're drinking, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between wobbling because the ship's moving or alcohol.
And I've been to the med bay. In the med bay on version, there are complimentary OTC meds, over the counter meds. So you can get your Dramamine, you can get Tylenol, you can Advil, you can get like Pepto, and I'm not sure about cough drops though. Um,
Yeah.
and there is no substitute for washing your hands. with soap and water. There is no substitute for it. So if you are a germaphobe like this guy, wash your hands. Just wash your hands and understand that not everybody's up to your sanitary levels. Some people are not. So use the
Yep.
foot doorknob to open a door. You don't have to use your hands.
Yep. Make sure the other thing we do is every time we see a hand sanitizer station, if we're not carrying it with us, we use it. We just want to constantly make sure, you know, our hands get dry, but we did this the last time and I didn't come home sick and it was great.
That's a win.
um,
That in itself.
all right. Next one is kind of about logistics. Is Wi-Fi non-existent on a cruise ship, Ross?
Absolutely not. Wi-Fi, however, is you get what you pay for. I will say that. Even on Virgin, there is the basic plan, the classic plan, and the premium plan. The basic plan is for you to use the app on board and basically and maybe send some texts through Facebook Messenger or through iMessage. And I do not recommend using iMessage because if it turns into a green message, you were just
You're
charged by your
screwed.
cell phone company. Yeah. So I use WhatsApp, which will work, and Facebook Messenger, which will both work. Um, but for the classic Wi-Fi, no issues. The premium Wi-Fi is amazing because you can literally do VPN, you can podcast, you can do all that stuff. Now, they're going to charge you for the premium unless you do the premium level. So when it's time to book with Jen or myself, we're going to talk about what you're getting for that premium level. Because if you get the premium level, for example, you're paying for the Wi-Fi and they're giving you a free drink every day.
And really, you need to consider if the premium is worth it. If you're not working from the ship, you probably don't need it. I could get by. I did try to work on my last sailing. I wasn't able to access Google Sheets. I wasn't able to do a couple different things, and I was on the regular essential Wi-Fi. So if you need access to things like that for work, you'll definitely want to upgrade. And then it might make sense cost wise to do the premium package. But if you don't, the essential package is fine. You can get on your social media. You probably won't be able to load reels or TikToks very well. Um, but it's enough to be able to load them if you need to post something. So
And let's not forget, you're on vacation. You're on vacation. And I have a lot of friends who are like, I don't want to use my cell phone. I said, no problem. You can get the printed sheet at the galley every morning and you can go that route. Um, and you could take your phone and put it in the safe. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that Virgin is starting to see that as well, that not everybody wants to carry their phone with them at all times. And if you want to, it's great. If you
yeah.
don't, you're on vacation. Lock it up. It's okay.
Yeah, other things to consider is if you're not sailing on Virgin, Wi-Fi is not included at all in the price that you're paying. So when you're working with us, that's a conversation we're going to have is want to sail on Celebrity, how much is Wi-Fi going to be? Because it averages anywhere from $15 to $25 a day for just basic Wi-Fi.
And there are some games to play that they don't want you to play also. For example, Wi-Fi is by the person, not by the cabin, but that person could have four devices. You might have a phone, an iPad, a computer, and a something else, and you need Wi-Fi just for you. Now they don't care who you're giving it to, and I've had this with clients. They said, "Do they really care?" I said, "I don't think they do, but I have to tell you that they're going to tell you it's per person, up to four devices." Fine, no problem, and they figured out how to beat them at their own game. So be mindful and understand that Wi-Fi is by the minute, not by the megabyte. It's by the minute, and you'd be shocked how quickly you will go through 75 minutes of Wi-Fi.
And so it's better to make sure you're getting an unlimited package. I typically do the one device package for one person because if I'm sailing with my husband, he doesn't want to be on his phone. Um, so we just put it on my phone, and then if he needs to be able to see something, we'll swap the devices and put it on his phone for what he needs to do. So you are able to transfer that. The other thing I do on Virgin, because Virgin with the basic and essential package, you only get one device. So I will put it on my phone, use that for the app. And then if I need to do something on my computer, I switch the device and then swap it back when I'm ready to use my phone again. So you are able to do that as much as you need to.
And you may not bring your own Starlink modem on board any of the ships. They won't allow it. They'll confiscate it. So please don't bring a $600 modem thinking they're going to let you bring it.
And I have seen a couple things online of people saying that they've used like NordVPN, for example. A lot of these Wi-Fi packages block VPNs. So don't think that using that is going to let you have internet access because it won't.
And just like at work, everything you do on there, they can see. Every
Yep.
website you can go to, they can see. So just be able, and some sites will be blocked. For example, a lot of the cruise companies will block gambling sites because you're in international waters. They want you gambling on their system, not on what is it, FanDuel, as an example. So just be mindful of that, that they might block that for you because you are on you're in their country basically as soon as you leave the
Yeah.
dock.
Yep.
It's the best way to think about it.
All right, let's talk about cost because this is a big one when it comes to
Yeah,
cruising and people that are used to land travel. It can seem like a lot. So I think the biggest one is that cruising is all inclusive, and it's not.
it's
It, it,
it's
it
not. It's about
depends.
90% true, generally
Yeah,
speaking.
yeah. So there are some cruise lines like Regent or Silver Sea. I believe Viking is another all-inclusive cruise line where you're paying a little bit more to get everything included. But the demographic of those cruise lines are definitely a little bit older. You're not going to find people in their 30s, 40s, 50s sailing on those unless it's a really cool itinerary like a river cruise. Cruising the Nile or cruising through Thailand or something like that. That's like a once in a lifetime thing that you might want to go do that for. But there is a way to make your cruise all inclusive. So with Virgin, obviously, pretty much everything is included. The only thing that's not included is your specialty coffee, energy drinks, alcohol. What am I missing? Smoothies, juices.
Campaign.
Well, that's alcohol.
But if you're a mega rock star, those are all included.
Right. So if you're sailing as a rock star, you get a little bit more included for the price you're paying. But if you did want to make it all inclusive, add on a bar tab. Then you're scanning for drinks without thinking about it.
We're sailing in April, and we did Rockstar. We were obviously bidding up for Mega, but we always get the romance package as well
Yeah.
because we have Blue Extras now, and we know how to take advantage of when to book. So we have a nice bar tab coming with us, plus the bar in our room. But what we really wanted was the going to the thermal spa, and the bottle of champagne is nice, and the little treats that are left in your cabin, and there's a meetup just for the taste of romance people, and those kind of things give you that all-inclusive feel. But the one thing I love about Virgin is for my clients who do not drink, there's no pressure to drink. None. And I think that's a really nice thing. Now, my big complaint with Royal is, let's hypothetically say that Jen and Ross in a different planet are sharing a cabin together. And Jen wants to drink, and Ross in this ridiculous scenario doesn't drink for whatever reason. I have a medical reason that I can't drink. We both have to get the drink package. We have no choice. Or conversely, Jen could be 6 months pregnant and obviously pregnant. She still has to get the drink package. And to
Yep.
me, that's criminal.
Yeah.
So I have problems with the drink package or the requirements
And
of it.
and they're starting to add in non-alcoholic packages for people that don't drink. Like for example, my friend and I who went on Brilliant Lady last month or in October, whatever month that was, she wasn't drinking the entire trip and I was kind of half drinking. And had we actually done this
Only during even hours. You only drank during even hours of the day,
pretty
right?
I had like a mimosa at brunch and then drank in the evening. Yeah.
Good for
Had a
you.
I alternated. I'd have a drink and then I'd have a non-alcoholic drink and it was great. I didn't have any hangovers. It was fantastic. Um, but had we done that on Carnival and we were sharing a cabin, Carnival has a non-alcoholic package now. I can't buy a drink package for myself and she buy the non-alcoholic package. We have to both have the same package. And same with Princess. If we wanted to go to Alaska like we were talking about this year, doing Alaska in July on the Star Princess, and I wanted to get Princess Premium or Princess Plus, she would also have to have Princess Plus. And her non-alcoholic drinks are included in that, but if she's not spending the same amount that I would on alcohol, the math doesn't really add up anymore.
Well,
So,
let's not forget the soda package your kids are going to have also in your cabin because you're getting a drink package.
yeah. Yeah.
And they're starting to see their ways on this, but I'm not a big soda guy. My wife's not a big soda person either. And now Virgin, it's included. Soda, drip coffee,
See,
tea is
I'm a big
included,
soda person. I don't drink water, I
and
drink soda.
that's fine. And that's okay because they have fountains
Fresca
all over.
sponsor me.
Fresca, sponsor us. Fresca, please sponsor us. That and Dr. Brown's, please sponsor us.
Between
Um,
Dr. Pepper Zero and Fresca, that's what I'm made of at this point.
and I'm shocked at certain things you pay for on other cruise lines that Virgin just like, we're not going to nickel and dime this. Now, Virgin's not perfect, and they're starting to tighten the screws on certain things, but the soda is the soda. It's included. It's right next to the water tap. They don't care. They love you to bring your own water bottle, and they don't care what you put in it. Just make sure it's empty when you leave the ship because they're going to check. Not
Yep.
often, but they do reserve the right to check. And if they do, they're just going to dump it out and tell you, have a nice day on land. Because they're not allowed to let you do that stuff.
Yep. And
Um,
this kind of segues into our last myth, which is
yeah, the
cruising
price.
is too expensive, which kind of ties into the TikTok I posted today. If you guys are
Oh, what was your
following me on
TikTok?
TikTok, my TikTok today was a story about a client that I was just working with who wanted to go on a last minute Christmas cruise
Cool.
and was shocked at how expensive it was
Oh,
and how
we also
limited the
surprised.
options were.
Well, that's
Um,
not good.
so always when you're working with a travel agent, come with a budget in mind because we will be able to tell you if that's realistic or not. Um, the other thing is book in advance because you're going to get the best pricing when you book in advance. Wave season is happening right now. So it's typically anywhere from Black Friday through like mid February, early March is typically wave season. That's when you're going to get your best perks added onto your sailing. You're going to get the best pricing when you're booking 1 or 2 years in advance. I have taken advantage of that many times and gotten some great deals. My Alaska trip this next year, I booked a solo sea view for like $1,500 and it's now $3,000 for my friends that want to come with me.
Well,
It
let's
really
talk
pays
about
to
that.
think ahead.
Thinking ahead on your next trip is so important because you work very hard. You're going to play hard. And Jen and I don't charge. We're not the people who are charging a booking fee. We want you to get the best value. Um, and when we can make things happen, we're going to do our best to make things happen. But cruising is too expensive if you want it to be too expensive. If you want the all out, unbelievable cabin, we can make it happen. If you want the solo cabin, we can make it happen. If you want a cabin with no windows, because some people want that inside cabin, cool, no worries. It's just coming in with realistic expectations and understanding that the price you see on the website is not always the price that we're going to have. Because, and when you go on a cruise site that claims have the best prices, they can also be giving you the cabins that nobody wants and not telling you that. And we do the research to make sure you're not getting cabins you don't want, especially on Virgin ships, because we know we've done the research.
We
Um,
don't want you to be above the manor
no,
ever.
we don't want you above the manor. We don't want you above the red room. We don't. If you're going to be on 14, you better be in a brilliant suite, um, because those are directly under the mega rock stars. So there's places
And the
to be and
gym.
places not to be. Yes, for brilliant,
Yep. Yeah.
the brilliant suites are under the
The
gym.
the ones that I was just looking at for one of my Rockstar clients were directly under the gym.
Really interesting because
Yeah.
we bid for those. So I don't know. I might remove my bids.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I would. Go look at where they're at.
Well,
But
the
yeah,
difference between a brilliant and a gorgeous suite, which is essentially the same size internal, external is the gorgeous suite has a much larger balcony. I think I just lost signal with you, but we'll see what happens. Can you hear
well,
me?
I'm seeing I can hear you, but mine says I'm
Okay.
trying to reconnect. There we go.
Okay. Now we're back. Um, so cruising can be expensive. It's up to you. It can be super value based. I've done that as well. I will say this, please, if you think you're going to save money by having four people in a cabin, you're not. You're going to build stress
Well,
though.
you might, but it's going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Especially if there's a million ifs. There's a million ifs. If you are going and it's a group of you and you have a no hookup clause from anybody outside your group, it's fine. But I've heard stories. Um, I've
Boy,
also walked into my friend's cabin and someone's in the bathroom and definitely drank too much, and we can all smell and see why. Um,
yep, yep.
I've seen that happen. I've seen just unnecessary arguments over the room because of having too many people in there. Now, know the people you're going to travel with before you travel with them. A 1 week cruise is not the time to meet up with your friends for the first time because
Mm-mm.
someone's going to snore and it might not be you.
Yep.
My dad had a great saying before I went away to college. He said, Ross, by the end of the first week, you're going to figure out who the real jerk on the floor is. He didn't use the word jerk. He said, if you can't figure out who he is, go to the bathroom and look in the mirror. You'll find him. And third day, I'm like, oh, he's the floor jerk. Now I get it. And he was right.
So my
So,
friends and I, when we sail, we will share a cabin, but we won't do more than like two per cabin. And we honestly, we've sailed in separate cabins before because the deal has been so good that it's reasonable to have our own cabins. And we will pay the extra to do that because we can make sure that our cabins are right next to each other. The great thing about having a balcony cabin, especially on Virgin, is the divider can come off. So we could walk in between our cabins on the balcony. And it made it really easy. Like we were getting ready for dinner, one could just come over to my room if I was still getting ready or whatever. So you can still feel like you're all cruising together and not be uncomfortably close to each other and
and
still
also the
have a
person,
reasonable cost.
right, and the party person, they can be the bar.
Yep.
That can be the person who orders all the alcohol for the rooms, and you keep it there, and it's just located. We like sharing our balcony. It does make it nice to have an opener balcony. And we wound up in the cheeky corner suite. And if you are traveling with friends and you're all doing the Rockstar level, one of you should get a cheeky corner suite because the balcony is larger than the cabin, twofold. It's massive. You can have 30 people on your balcony on the cheeky corner suite if you're above, say, 9 through 14.
And there are some other tips too to make it a little less expensive. So if you are a drinker and you like wine, on Virgin, you can bring 2 bottles of wine per cabin, 750 milliliters. The other cruise lines, it's usually 1 bottle per person, per adult, I should say. And then on Virgin, you can bring in your own soda. So for me, I like Dr. Pepper. They don't have that on board. I can bring on a 12 pack of soda with me. Um, Instead of soda, I can bring a 12 pack of non-alcoholic beer. I just was so fascinated by that when I found that out in October. So what we ended up doing, we had 3 of us coming. We each brought a pack of non-alcoholic beer and we all just rotated through who was having what. Um, and it worked out great. They brought extra bottles of wine for me and we traded. So I had as much wine as I needed for the trip and it made my bar tab way less.
Um, Another big thing you need to know, and this isn't a myth, this is a fact. If it's not legal at home, it's not legal on the ship. So please leave your recreational drugs. It might be legal in your home state. Home. Don't
They
bring them.
do have drug dogs there.
They do,
Don't think they don't.
and they've thought about every way you want to smuggle the stuff on because they've already tried it.
Yep.
Because they have that's how they train the dog. So please don't. Just don't. Um, so Jen, where are you sailing in the next few months? What do you got on tap?
Well, I've got Brilliant Lady out of LA in April.
Nice.
So that's coming up. I've got uh possibly May,
Hmm.
both of us on the celebrity reflection. We'll have to
We are
see how that
looking
one works out.
we are looking into that.
Um, and then I will be on a top secret trip in July that you have to follow
Ooh.
me on YouTube to find out about. And then August we are doing Alaska on Virgin. So I'm on Brilliant Lady 3 or 4 more times this year.
Cool. You'll come over to the Happening Cast. It's like, hi, I'm Jen with the Happenings Cast. You didn't know,
I
but
think I'm
yeah, that's
gonna
you.
have a different happenings cast every single time at this point. I'll be able to see the first like 3 or 4. Um, and then yeah, we might add in another Caribbean one there once my friend gets her schedule figured out. But we're all over the place. What about you?
So I got the NCL getaway coming up in 2 weeks. That'll be on the 26th to 29th to try the cruise line out. I'm kind of excited about that. And I'm doing the adult version of it. There's an adults only area that I'm going to be going, and I'm also going as a solo sailor. So that'll be interesting to see that as well. Then in April, we are doing our anniversary cruise. My wife and I, every April, we try to go on a cruise because our anniversary is right there in April. And we're doing Virgin Voyages out of Miami to Grand Cayman, Jamaica, and of course, Bimini. So it's 1 week. It's going to be great because we've never been to Grand Cayman or Jamaica. So we get to check those off our travel sites. In May, I'm told that Jen and I, or possibly both couples, we might have some guests on our podcast finally. Um,
Yeah.
going to go check out the Celebrity Reflection again. If we do it, we're going to do it um, on the adult side. So we'll be obviously catering it to that. Now, I will say Celebrity does some great stuff for kids, just not my vibe. And then in August, depending on a bunch of things, because every August my wife and I are in Ireland, and there's this island across the Irish Sea called England, and there is a place called Portsmouth, and there's 3 places that we want to go to, and the ship goes August 20th to the 27th, and it's Virgin's UK Comedy Festival. Now we love comedians, so a week of seeing a comedy show every night could be awesome. Just that makes it worth it. But Portsmouth to Hamburg, Bruges, and Amsterdam, and it's overnight in Hamburg. But it's
Yeah,
a
and
full day and an overnight.
they haven't announced the comedians yet for that one, right?
No, they
Because
have not.
last year they had Jack Whitehall, and he's so funny.
So, and let's not forget that within the Virgin Voyages cruises, you're getting 2 comedians already because you're getting the diva and the hostess, and they are both professional comedians, and it's very
We
obvious that
had
they are.
we had a fantastic comedian on Brilliant Lady because they've started adding them into like the regular rotation now,
Hmm.
to do comedy shows. His name was Jay Black. He was so funny. Um, and he actually writes uh Lifetime movies too.
That's
So
funny in itself.
he was definitely making fun of himself. But all right, well, that is it for this episode of Ship Talk. Thank you all for
Definitely.
joining us. And make sure to follow us on all the socials. I am cruising with Jen. Ross is cruising with Ross on all of the different things. We'll put
And
that down
traveling with
below.
Russ. Yep.
Traveling with Ross. And we'll
Yep.
put that all down below in the description for you all. But thanks so much for listening. And
I did have a
Ross,
question because someone did fire a question off through my Facebook.
did
So
they?
the
Okay.
question was, and we're gonna do this. So if you ever have questions, use Jen will post where her questions can go. I'll tell you where mine are. I use Facebook because it's always up in front of me. And the question was sent through DM. Her name is Laura. She said, Jen, what is the one thing as a woman you carry? Ross, what is the one thing as a man you carry
Mm,
when you cruise?
that's a good one. I carry a lot of things. I always have a bag with me. So my phone is constantly on me. I either have it on a crossbody strap, or I have it on like a little hand strap so that I don't lose it. But I always bring just like a crossbody purse to keep my phone and whatever in. Because even though I don't need my wallet, I don't want to lose my phone, but I like being hands free. So just keeping things on me so that things don't get stolen, um, are important. And then a water bottle. And I bring a big water bottle so that if I need to hit someone with it, I can.
Okay, so I almost always bring a hat, and I also always carry a backpack because I have medical things that I always got to carry with me. And so those are my two things. I have nothing weird in there to throw at you, but I almost
Yeah.
always have a backpack. And I am a bag snob, so I'm always looking for the next good backpack, and it drives my wife bananas.
Yeah.
But the next one will definitely have to be red.
Yeah, I've gotten a few of those. Um, I just like I'm always losing things and I want to be as hands-free as possible when I'm on a cruise ship. But then I go into port and I need to carry things. So I've got a couple different like crossbody bags so that I can keep it in front of me so I'm not going to get pickpocketed and because safety when you're traveling by yourself and you're female is important.
We have one more before Christmas, but I will wish you a early happy Christmas.
Gosh, it is almost Christmas. Well, this one
Mhm.
will be our Christmas one, so really we
Yeah.
won't be back until probably after New Year's.
And we wore red.
Although,
Perfect.
although it might be a good idea because my friend, my other travel agent friend that does Virgin is going to be in town the week of New Year's.
We have to do a podcast with her.
Mm-hmm.
We will have to do an episode with her. That'll be fun. We're gonna have a guest star next time.
Yeah.
Woo!
She would love that too. So I'll have to talk to her about it. Okay, surprises to come. That may happen, that may not
That's
happen,
it.
but
Absolutely.
we'll see if we can talk her into it.
Have
All
a
right.
great holiday, everybody, and listen to those announcements when they make them. They are important.
Thanks everyone for listening and watching. We'll see you next time.